Madam Deputy Chairman, I am glad that the National Small Industries Corporation Limited has been taken up for discussion today. I am one of those who sincerely believe that small industry has to occupy a paramount position in our economy. I do believe that it has to play a very vital and dynamic role in our economic growth and development. Some time passed when this matter was debated on my motion, I made certain observations. The Honorable Member was good enough to reply to some of the points raised by me. Except the reply I heard on that occasion, nothing seems to have been done in regard to the various matters which inhibit the growth and development of the small sector. Madam, our country is a country of small people, small traders, small entrepreneurs without much resources at their command, and a country which requires very large effort to absorb the unemployed men and women, and we all agree that the small units provide a large scope for employing the unemployed. Government has been professing all along that it believes, as we do here, in the development of the small scale sector. I wish the professions could come true, but unfortunately, I find that not so much of fervor is exhibited in implementing the professions that they have been making off and on. At the outset, I have to point out that there seems to be no appreciation or understanding of the nature of the small units. I say this because small units have been mistakenly conceived as units manufacturing only small items. I am afraid this conception is wrong, and small units are in a way large units in miniature. They can manufacture all the items that the large units can manufacture. Small units are small because investment is small, machines employed are very few, but all the products of large industry can very well be manufactured by small units, and thus the small scale industries cannot be termed small in the sense we regard cottage industries or village industries. So, this conception has to be clearly understood whenever we deal with small industries. Now, what are the problems besetting the small scale industries? Some attempts were made in the past, perhaps even by the small National Small Industry Corporation, to remove the bottlenecks which were there. Steps have been taken to streamline the procedure. Now, the biggest bottleneck which is inhibiting the functioning of this organization seems to have been not removed at all. I want to be assured by the Honorable Minister that the Ministry is serious or earnest about removing this important bottleneck. Unless that is done, all the other steps taken by the National Small Industries Corporation already will have no meaning at all. I want the National Small Industries Corporation to function very well and very effectively, and it should further the aspirations and ambitions of small people in the country. Today, the biggest bottleneck seems to be finance. On the last occasion, when I was discussing this matter, I pointed out that even during the emergency, sufficient finance should be provided for the growth and development of small industries in the country, and that things meant for defense during the emergency could also be produced very well indeed by the small units, provided there is coordination and there is proper planning. Now, paucity of resources seems to be the biggest hurdle in the way of development of small scale organizations. All along these years, this organization has depended more on foreign credits. The capital structure of this organization is very small. The authorized capital is only 50 lakhs of rupees, and the paid up capital is 40 lakhs of rupees. With this capital, with this slender capital structure, it would be difficult for this organization to operate and to help various schemes which it has undertaken. So, it has by and large depended upon foreign credits, and it is amazing to note that while government professes before parliament and before this country that it believes in small scale industries, that it wants to promote small units everywhere, it does not uh, at the same time think it advisable or desirable to provide foreign exchange allocation at all. I do not know the reasons for not allocating at least a small amount of foreign exchange available with the government for the small scale sector. I expected that the government, which believes in the development and growth of small industries, which would automatically or normally taken steps to allot a certain amount of foreign exchange for small units, but this has not been done. All along, this organization has been made to depend upon foreign credit only and nothing beyond that. What is the position today? Today, this organization, which has done something in removing certain traditional bottlenecks which were operating, continues to exist in a very pitiable condition. Now, applications flow in a large number, and all the applicants are told that there will be no more sanction of the applications. We are having this budget in the third year of the third 5 year plan. That is to say, this is the 13th budget under planning. But added to this is the emergency today, which naturally has an impact on the economic policies and, in particular, on the budget proposals. It is agreed on all hands that resources should be found for the strengthening of our national defense as well as for the country's economic development. I think, on the whole, it is a right approach in the situation that national defense and economic development should go hand in hand. Indeed, we cannot have a strong, self reliant defense potential in the country either now or in the future or in any future at all without having a strong economic base, especially industrial base. For without a strong industrial base, you cannot have modern defense in the world today. Therefore, on the whole, it is a right approach, and I think we all should stick to this approach instead of trying to counterpose one against the other. Therefore, on that score, there is not any controversy whatsoever, but there is ground for controversy when you come to the budget proposals. The tragedy of the present budget is that it heavily penalizes the patriotism of our people. It seems that those who have formulated the budget have taken into their heads that the legitimate sentiments of the people for strengthening the defense of the country, as we all stand for strengthening the defense of the country, could be exploited in a manner which is in a large measure against the interests of the people as well as against the interests of the defense economy. I wish to make it very clear that defense has two-sided weapons and equipment on the one hand and the human side as well as the labor power of the working people on the other. I think we cannot conceive of a strong defense in conditions of discontent, privatization, sorrow, and suffering. I think we will have to evolve a policy whereby the resources of the country could be mobilized simultaneously with the harnessing of the willing labor power, enthusiasm, and initiative of our working people. That is how we should approach the problem of defense in a democratic setup. In conditions of military dictatorship, etc., they do not bother about the people. Somehow or other, weapons and equipment are brought from outside and some kind of defense is built up, which means in fact that when you go in for such a thing, you surrender your entire independence, and we are very glad that the Prime Minister has rightly pointed out time and again that in order to defend something, we must have that thing, and defense will be meaningless if we, in the name of the preparations for the defense of the country, begin to sell our independence at some other counter. Such is not, fortunately, the policy of the government as we understand it, and such can never be the policy of the government. Therefore, there is national agreement on the question of defense and also on the question of economic development, although it has been raised by some people that in order to prepare the country for its defense, we must abandon some of our good objectives in the plan gradually and prune it. But by and large, the government, at least in theory, has not accepted it, and we would also like the government not to accept it in point of fact because, as I said, no defense worthy of a great independent nation like ours can ever be built except on the foundations of a solid, growing, strong economy. Now, therefore, Madam Deputy Chairman, where does the controversy arise between ourselves and the government? The controversy arises on the question of finding resources, and the question to be asked today is how to set about the task of fulfilling the needs of the situation as a whole and the emergency in particular, and where to find and how to find the resources for the purpose. This is the point of departure as far as we and the government are concerned, and I should presently go into the question of pointing out to you that the government's approach and the line of action is certainly not one which was inescapable or unavoidable in the situation. It was possible for the government to raise the resources without going in for some of the harsh economic burdens which they have decided to impose upon the people. Let me come to the question of the compulsory deposit scheme. Here we have been supporting compulsory deposits. In fact, we have been urging upon the government to introduce some such schemes as would enable them to tax the resources lying with the former princes, multimillionaires, big businessmen, and other sections of the wealthy people. They have got plenty of accumulations. Our quarrel is not with the system of saving